Hello, I'm Mr. Pibbles, but you can call me Peter, and welcome back to our Challenge Park series here in Planet Coaster 2. Now, you join me at our currently inactive but very, very cool flat ride that we made in the last episode, that being our Millstone, I believe, is what we went for name-wise, and yes, it is our sort of, well, we're sort of at a point now where we've got money, we can start doing slightly higher budget things in the park, which is all fun and games, which I am really looking forward to with what we've got planned in this episode. Now, what are we doing? Well, we're starting with a little bit of a marketplace for this sort of area around here, and then we'll be doing something over there. But you'll have to watch the video to find out what that is. But first, let's roll that time lapse. Indeed. Hello and welcome to the time lapse. This is the time lapse for this episode, and yeah, we've got a fun one lined up for you today because we are doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we are starting this with this brand new guest area, which is very fun. You know, I have needed more of these in the park. I don't think we've done one of these since we built our pirate pub, which was... Oh, hang on, no, it wouldn't have been in the pirate pub, it would have been in the second episode working on the pool complex, which would have been episode 17, I believe. So we are sorely in need of more sort of guest services, and we're doing a bit of a fun take on it because we're doing a marketplace to go along with this vague fairy tale theme, which is very fun. I am a really big fan of how this all turns out, and yeah, of course we've gone from sort of a low budget beginnings as we had, and we're now getting a few more sort of slightly higher budget areas towards the back of the park, which is fun, and I'm really enjoying playing around with slightly more money in these areas. So we are starting off with indeed this Viva la Vegan counter. I know I say this every episode, but there's always something new that I want episode per episode. And this episode, the thing that I want is I would like more stalls. We had so many in the first game for food and drink, and I just feel like we are lacking now. Obviously, I know we had the World Fair Pack, which came with lots and lots of food stalls, but you know, I just wish we had more, because I'm missing things like Street Fox. I'm missing things like well, even going back to Planet Zoo, I'm missing Bernie's Bakes. So all of that, like, I really wish we had things like that back, and I wish we had more sort of counters and stuff to play around with, because it would be so much more useful, and then I wouldn't have to be spamming the same few food stalls. But there we go. It isn't, you know, what they look like. Well, it isn't what they are, it's how you dress them up, which is what we're doing here. We are dressing these up to look like little food counters, like these little market barrows that came with the fairy tale stuff, and again, we are kind of making it fit to the same vibe by having these little carts. And then what we're going to do is we are going to come into our Viking stuff, and we're going to place some hay bales underneath to sort of act as a little bit more of a counter, and sort of hide the counter just to make it look a little bit more sort of fairy tale-esque, which is quite fun, and I really like the way that these look. They look pretty perfect, kind of sitting here, and you can kind of sort of believe that these are these marketplace barrows, which is quite nice, and sort of I just think this is really fun. I like the idea of dressing up stalls to look less like stalls, if that makes sense. So things like the counters for the photo stand, or the counters for the information desks or stuff like that. I just like sometimes not using the big bulky shell. I just like something a bit smaller like these. And again, it's just the dressing them up to make them look a little bit more interesting to fit in with the theme. So for example, like with our Viva La Vegan, we made that feel a lot more like a food stall. Here with our So Delightful, we are making it feel a little bit more like a drinks stall with all these pots and stuff, and these barrels, almost, like kegs and stuff that you would get drinks from and stuff, and I think it looks quite nice. As well as that, we are using some crates, which is quite fun, and then moving over to our Lunar balloons. This is my favourite out of the three. We're placing down some of these baskets and the barrel that is open, and this is my favourite stroke of genius that I had. We are placing balloons inside these barrels, and I just really like the way that this looks. This might be my favourite of sort of the 4 market stalls we've got going on here, because you can really believe that sort of if this was a real place, kids would go up, they'd pick a balloon out the basket, they pay for it, and I just think it looks really nice. And these stalls and the hay bales do a really good job of just hiding that counter from view, and I just really like the way that it looks. And then putting in some postcards back there, that is all fun. Now, where would this be without something like a set of facilities to go alongside it? Because, where are you going to be without facilities? So we are placing in a lovely toilet stool there. I was going to move those backwards, but unfortunately you can't move the stools, which is unfortunate, but instead we will just use this space for our little picnic area with these picnic tables in the fairy tale style. I really like the way that this looks, and then getting some bins. I don't like the way that they look, so we get rid of them all, and instead we are going to place them around the stalls that aren't stalls, instead the fake stalls, which possibly one could believe that in the real world they would be actual stalls, but there we go. Now, I was going to use the arched stone piece there as the entrance to the toilets, but for some reason it still isn't working for me. It's still sort of in that ugly blue colour and won't change, which is annoying. But if anyone is experiencing anything similar, then please let me know in the comments below, because it's just annoying. But there we go, moving onwards and upwards, we are just using this as a bit of set dressing. This isn't supposed to feel like this big, massive, impressive piece of set, but it's meant to feel like a little just a bit of a background that you'd have on somewhere. My mind goes to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which I have mentioned before in this series, is somewhat of an inspiration where, yes, sort of you've got all the areas and they're all a little bit misconjoined with what the themes are, but they will have themed buildings around with them. So my mind goes to sort of the whole boulevard down by the ghost train, and also the plaza down by Valhalla with where Loki's is, because that's, again, is all very sort of Nordic themed, and I think that's really sort of, while there isn't much of a Nordic theme to the rest of the park, that bit does have a Nordic theme, and it works. So what are we doing now? Well, where would an area like this be without a small roller coaster? Because ultimately, we need more roller coasters. So what are we doing? We are building a spinning wild mouse. And you may be thinking to yourself, we're only halfway through the video. How long could building this wild mouse take? Dear viewers, I ask myself that as well. Longer than you'd think. That is my answer. One of the things I was trying to find is the option that allows me to exceed track limits, but unfortunately I don't know if I can find it in this set, which is unfortunate because I was going to bank the tracks a little bit in places. But there we go. So I did have a vision, and I was sort of trying to make it work. And, you know, it works. It's just the very fun challenge of trying to make it a lot more thrilling, which, well, thrilling wasn't the problem. It was exciting that was the problem, which is why we are going to spend a full 10 minutes of in-game time, time-lapse, which was approximately for me a full half an hour of game time-lapsed, and then an extra 20 minutes on top of that to just get this done. And it took so long, but I'm really happy with the result, which you will see at the end. But until then, we're building this spinning wild mouse. Now, did I have any inspirations behind this? Not really. Aside from real world spinning mice, wild mice, but really, kind of, I haven't seen any spinning wild mice in the real world, but that might be because I've been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But there we go, and we are now coming up on the ending for this. I wanted a long station, so we have a long station, and we have a fully completed roller coaster, which we will go in and test now, which is fun, and you can see it kind of going down the slopes there, which is a classic of wild mice, and then just that little bit of an ending section there, and it doesn't make it, which is awkward, but we don't worry about that whatsoever, because why would we want to worry about something like that? So how would we do this instead? Well, let's try it again. And it's made it through everything this time. Stats are looking okay, and let's have a look. You know, I really should have actually checked the stats before putting in the cars, but there we go. We're going for the standard wild mouse, and what stats are we looking at? This is very exciting. A 3, which, while that wasn't terrible, I thought I could do better. So here we are with iteration 2. Where we are taking the same sort of initial premise, and then we are just adding to it, because we've got all this space to play with. You know, the reason I went for a spinning wild mouse is I wanted something that was very compact and sort of very small, and that I could sort of fit into this space and just play around with it, and just make it, again, fit the very small space that we have to work with this miniature area of the park. And then getting this all in again, you can see it there, and it's working perfectly well, which is brilliant. Stick the lock on it, and there we go. Let's see, can it make it with iteration 3, I think we're on now. And it made it. So let's formally test it. And it's looking good. It is looking good. And it's less thrilling. It's less exciting than the previous iteration. And you can see within where the pain lies. So I decided that the problem, instead of the ending section, was the first section. So instead we are making this a lot more thrilling with bigger slopes. And I know that I could have made it more thrilling by, indeed, just speeding up the chain lift. But I wasn't I wasn't thinking, I was just going, okay, how do I make this more thrilling? And there we go, that's the first section, looking alright with slightly better stats. Second section, looking okay. But let's just make it all again, because I cannot be satisfied with a not okay coaster, because, as I say, I'd like to think I'm getting better at building roller coasters throughout this series, so kind of using this as a way to really kind of think about it and not flex, but kind of take those creative muscles and go, okay, is this working for me? Can I prove to myself that I can build a semi-decent roller coaster? And we did have better stats there, but again, I can do better, and I've got all this space to play with, so it is here that we have the ship of Theseus. Is this the same roller coaster as the one that we started off with? If everything about it has changed. And I will leave that with you to ponder in the comments section below. But there we go, as we are getting this all sorted, you can see our money is slowly going up throughout this process, and that is because I make so much money every time the game is unpaused, and it feels a little bit unfair, so I like having the game paused, but for the amount of testing that I'm doing, every time I test, money just pours in, which I know I really can't complain about, but I'll complain about anyway, because it's just easy. And you can see me here testing it out, and the money is pouring in, which is fun, but as I say, it's alright because we've got Roman Racer behind us with the scenic railway, which we can watch in the background if we get bored of placing bits of track. And you can see it here kind of going around, and I did come up with the realization at one point that the main thing that helps the excitement of these rides is inclines that spin. So we completely get rid of everything with that in mind, and we are going in now with the mind of actual wild mousing with these tight corners and these inclines and these declines on sort of these banked bits of track, and we are almost doing another sort of switchback section like up at the top, just in the opposite direction, that being kind of downwards and upwards, and it being sort of perpendicular to that, which is quite fun. And then obviously we are here placing these bits down, and this isn't too bad whatsoever. So coming in here and then placing that down, and we have a track. So from this point on, I do not know how long I've got left to talk to you until the time-lapse finishes. But what I have done in the time-lapse outside of that is that I have just fully finished up the track, got it to its final iteration, and the final thing that we did is, the final thing that I did is got a bit of a proof of concept for the theming in, which we will fully sort in the next episode, which is fun. So, I don't know when he's going to cut me off, but do what he says in liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that jazz, if you have enjoyed this episode, because it has been a pleasure watching myself fail to build a roller coaster for you. And I will see you in real time in a moment or two, so that should be incredibly fun. So, enjoy the rest of this very small time lapse, and then we will, I will see you in real time. And there we go. Welcome back to real time. Now I've finished out the layout, and we've now got some pretty alright stats on there with a 4.82 on excitement. It is one of our more scary and nauseating coasters, but there we go. And I've got a little bit of a proof of concept done off screen for what we're going to do for the theming, so that will be where indeed we go next episode. We will be building a castle for this to sort of sit in, and sort of sit there and we can look at it from down here, and it will be really, really cool. So if you have enjoyed this episode, then please give me a like, give me a comment, and give me a subscribe. This is also what we did, and yeah, I will see you in the next episode. Now roll that time lapse.